welcome back to Revved Talk. I'm Pablo Arenas, founder of Rev Mode AI Marketing. And today I happen to have a very, very interesting, I'm going to say neighbor here in the building. We've known each other for a long time here at the building at 388 in Brantford. And, she wears multiple hats. I can't express uh, how, you do everything. Lisamarie Boncek, as I was saying before to you before we started recording, there's not one way, there's not one title that I can. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. You work 7 days a week like I do. We see each other in the building on Sundays, Saturdays, and you're an inspiration. You're a force. Welcome to Revved Talk.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so again, there's so much about you. There's so much, and preparing for this podcast help learn a lot. So let's talk about, let's start with your journey and how did you discover your path as a healer and a spiritual guide?
Oh, that could take a whole half hour, Pablo, with that one. I mean,
Okay.
in a nutshell, I was raised Catholic, Christian, and I was a fiercely independent child at a very, very young age. So, and I was being led by something higher than my religion, you know. So I always had this higher guidance, divine guidance. Way back when I was 7 years old, I felt healing energy coming out of my hand sitting at the edge of my bed. So and nobody on either side of my family has this spirituality going on. So but in independence was calling me, and I came from a dysfunctional home, and I just knew intuitively I wanted more, and there was more to life. And I remember being in school as a teenager, like 12 years old, thinking I could have my own apartment. I could be making money. So I always had that mindset of being free, being independent, and, the creative side of me. And I started singing at a very young age. And then I started training, opera training. And I did that all on my own because my mother, I came from a single mother home, Italian mother, raised by just her. Not my father wasn't in the picture. So I put myself through voice lessons with my own money. I'd been working since I was 13 years old. And then I left home when I was like 16,
Wow.
and maybe I rented a room for a few months, and then I got my own a little apartment, and then just things rolled from there. But, I started meditating, and I went to nursing school, and I went to hairdressing school, and knowing I was going to be independent, and I just wanted to make sure I always had something to fall back on. And I'm glad I
I'm
listened.
adding to your list. I'm adding to the stuff that I didn't know about you. I'm adding because there's like a whole list right here, and I keep adding stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah, so if you look back, and the bio on my website says everything in detail, and then my publisher for the book that's coming out next week, she made a beautiful bio that went in the book when they talk about the authors. So I went to nursing school, and I went to hairdressing school, and I knew I wanted to study, and then I found Ayurveda. I mean, I always tell my patients and clients, you have to follow your gut feeling. In layman's terms, it's the gut feeling. That is where your higher self, your soul, which is the smartest part of you that is directly connected to source, God, where all your information is. So if you follow your passions like I did, and in my 20s, I was being drawn to certain things. Like, I don't know if you know who Edgar Casey is, the sleeping prophet
I've
from
never.
Virginia, the late Edgar Casey. I was being drawn to his books, and later I became a healer after having two near death experiences. So I was being drawn to his books, and then I saw Deepak Chopra on the Oprah Winfrey show, and he was talking about the power of the mind and meditation, and his book called Perfect Health. Back then, this was over 30 years ago. I saw that program, I got the book, resonated with the book. That's the most important part of it all. And that was Ayurveda. India's holistic medicine, and I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner now. So Ayurveda is about balancing the body. There's these body types, and we are one of three body types, or a combination of two. So, and it's about balance, going to bed early, getting up early, balancing hormones, cleansing the body is a big part of it. And meditation is part of that too, and yoga, to balance the body and to go within, and that's where the healing is going within, and the meditation brings you into that space where you can then get the answers. I've even used meditation while taking tests. If I studied what I needed to study, and then time the test comes, I had forgotten the answers, but it was deep in my subconscious mind. So I would just take a moment to go into that space of meditation, and the answers would come. Because when you relax your brain and your mind, it opens up, the channels.
That is the truth.
So
I told you this the last time we spoke, that I meditate every morning. Is how I start my mornings at 4 o'clock. And there's something about it when you're able to. It doesn't happen every time, obviously, with life and everything else. But there's something about it when you go into that and you start seeing through that third eye, and like you said, your mind just calms down, and just when you wake up from that, it's like, and you open your eyes, you just feel so refreshed and ready to take on the world. So I totally semi, because obviously you're like up there, and I'm just like starting with the whole process. But very,
you're
very,
start,
very
you're
interesting.
starting to awaken. You're starting to awaken to who you really are. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's some people, it's meant for some people in this lifetime, and some aren't. They've got longer, ways to go. But that I'm doing the meditation at exactly the same time you are, and I do the TM, Transcendental Meditation. I do the Advanced Cities program. Um, so, and I've been doing that for over 30 years. And what it does is it increases creativity, it creates, if you stick to it, it creates bliss consciousness. And that's what I want. I was always striving for perfect health and enlightenment. And we all have that available to us if we want to practice meditation and other modalities to raise consciousness. I have that treatment in my office. I don't know if I told you about it, that uh, goes into the pineal gland. It's called Sharadara, and it's the warm herbalized oil being poured on the forehead, goes into the pineal gland to activate, to raise consciousness. It activates the spiritual center, the third eye.
That
Now
third eye, yeah.
that balances cortisol. I've helped people with depression, postpartum depression, addictions within days. And just for overall, even just for preventive, to keep you calm, because the world is full of drama, as you know. Every day is drama, and it's about how are you going to react to that drama. I could have 5 people in the room in front of me right now, right? And I could give them the same stress, and each one of them is going to have a different reaction to that stress depending on how strong their nervous systems are, how strong their adrenal glands are, what is their mindset, did they grow in life, maybe they had childhood trauma, but did they heal that trauma or not? I always tell everybody, once you turn 18, I didn't have a great childhood, but once you turn 18, it is your responsibility now to heal yourself.
Mm,
And that's with forgiveness. Not everybody's meant to be a perfect parent, right?
correct.
Your parents had problems. You don't know what happened to them in their childhood. So I always wanted June Cleaver to be my mother from, you remember June Cleaver? Maybe you're not
Yeah,
old
from
enough.
Leave It to. I'm 52 years old. I know that I'm 52. Yes, Leave It to Beaver. I used to watch it.
I love those old shows. I love those
Me
old
too.
fashioned shows. They're wholesome. So, we wanted that. And, but when I started meditating, when I was maybe 27, and that was after I'd read the book, Perfect Health. In the back of the book, it gave a list of um, Ayurvedic clinics that you can go to. And I chose Iowa at the time. I was there for 5 days doing panchakarma treatments, which are cleansing treatments in Ayurveda. And then I learned the meditation there. And the rest was history. I was changed. I just had to go into Ayurveda at that point because I couldn't believe, lifelong allergies gone. All these things that we think are our problems, women problems and things like that, are all an imbalance of the body and toxins in the body. That's all it is. And I was singing so much back then. I was burning the candle at both ends back then, singing late at night, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I've always been self-employed my whole life. So doing my job and then doing the night job. And then it was just burning me out. And then I discovered that's when I went to the clinic and got balanced, and it was life changing for me. And I was glad that it came at a young enough age, so I could live. I had 25 years of perfect health. Not perfect health, it was really optimal health. So it depends on
Which
what do
is
you want for your life. Do you want to just have,
right.
okay, health? I'm in pretty good health. I don't have anything majorly wrong with me. I don't have cancer or whatever, but you want to if you're one of those people like me that wants to wake up jumping out of bed with a smile on your face, calm in the face of anything that comes across you, having a positive attitude through life, that makes your life better, more productive, happier, easier to navigate this difficult earth experience that we're having.
We've had, like I said, the reason we chose to do this podcast is because we find each other sometimes in the hallway, and we have these short conversations. And I believe deeply in manifestation. It's something that's very dear to me. I believe, I mean, like I said, it's I manifest, and it's not just saying, "Hey, I'm going to manifest a $3 million Bugatti to be outside," and boom, all of a sudden there's. But to you, I mean, you're an expert in the field. So manifestation. Tell us a little bit about manifestation and the power behind it.
Manifestation, I do it by accident. That is my life, manifestation. I manifest things for other people. The thing is, last year, I won't go into this story on your show, but I manifested something by accident. And when I realized I had manifested it, and then I had this epiphany, it then went away. But I manifested because I kept saying to myself, um, oh, nobody's going to be able to keep up with me but a 30-year-old. But nobody's going to be able to, I just kept saying that every day as a knowing. I know my energy. I know my state of health. And I was, just thinking that, people can't keep up with me. And I manifested something from that because it was a conviction in my mind and a knowing as a fact. And then when I realized I had manifested something, I had to reverse that in my mind to then release the manifestation. But if you know it as fact, something, you can create anything. I manifest money to make money for my clients, manifest to help people so I can buy more equipment, so I can make a nice environment when they're coming into my office, whatever I have to do. I'm manifesting money to help others. So that's my thing that I do. But I manifest parking spots. I mean, you can manifest anything you want. It's a matter of seeing it and believing it, and it'll just happen.
The interesting about that is we I think everyone manifests, and everyone knows what manifests is. They just don't understand. When you hear it all, when people have said to you, whatever you set your mind to do, you can do it, right? You can do anything you set your mind to do. To
Yeah.
me, that's manifesting. right?
Yeah.
Manifesting is you set your mind. Obviously, there are different levels. You either go deep. I write. I have a book, a small book that I write. I manifest first. I write, then I speak it out loud, and then I just see it. I believe it, and and I keep going. I keep going, and whatever it may be. But that's basically the discipline in setting goals and achieving them. I think that's just to
It
me. That's
is.
just my personal opinion.
It's about a positive, it's about mindset. And that's what you're saying. It's about mindset. We can choose. I mean, thoughts are things.
Yep. Powerful.
You're if you think negative things all day long, negative things will tumble all day long. Something happens early in the morning, you'll hear somebody say, "Oh, it's going to be one of those days. Everything's going to go downhill from here."
Right. You
Or you
manifested
can
your day
choose,
already.
you have just manifested your day. Or you can choose to say, "Hey, what can I learn from this experience? We're all in this together, one collective consciousness. It's just
True.
a higher spiritual thing. But people are put in our lives for reasons,
That is true.
lessons, and things like that. And they're all there for a reason. And then things change, and you evolve, and you go somewhere else. But it's all about, what is your mindset going to be? Like when I had COVID a few years back, I had to shift the energy, to clear the energy, to do a reset in my body. I went into gratitude. That's my thing. Gratitude during the worst situations I'm in, and I'm challenged all the time. I go into gratitude. I know this is happening for a reason, and then the energy shifts. We are energy. Our souls are all energy. So we have the capacity to do that and tap into that. So it's about mindset. And also not being afraid of change, because I see a lot of my clients stuck in situations. They're not going to get the power from me. Power comes from within. So some of them get addicted to the healing I do. I don't want that. And I tell them, you don't need a guru. You have the power within. With your higher self is powerful. You just have to tap into that to manifest what you want. But you also can't stay, when you're getting messages, staying in relationships too long, staying at a job too long, whatever it is. If you're staying and you just want to complain about it, you've created that,
Correct.
right? So that has a big play. It's a play in your life too. So
It's not
if you
easy
want
to
to be
do.
happy, it's not easy to do, but it's about freedom, listening to that voice in your head. I say the gut feeling, to people that don't know, or easily comes to them, your gut feeling. And I remember recently I was talking to my aunt about this, and she says, "Oh, all the times," she's 77 now. She says, "All the times I got that gut feeling and I did not listen." She has regrets about every decision she made in her life. And that's what you don't want as you get older: regrets in your life. You know, you don't want to end up in a prison, no matter where it's what situation. You don't want to be a prison, because you will not be happy inside.
Right.
You will not be happy, genuinely happy. Whenever I've gone against, which I hardly ever do, whenever I've gone against the messages I'm getting, or that gut feeling that tells me I need to get out of this situation, or I need to do something simple as, I kept hearing years ago, you got to make your own website. Got to make your own website. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. That I don't know how to run the editor and all that. And everybody I tried to hire, it fell through. I made my own website, and now I'm glad I did, because learning that editor now helped me with PowerPoint for the slides that I do for my presentations. You see how it
Good for
works?
you.
Everything's in line and has to go a certain way to achieve that, and that in your future. So you have to listen to those little voices in your head that are leading you to where you want to go and what your purpose is. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody, I don't care if you don't see it, you have a purpose on earth. Even when I was sick, because I was sick for a long time after I'd gotten Lyme disease and I was bedridden for a long time. You'd never know it because I'm very strong now. But even when I was in that state, I was like, oh, how could I help people? And how could I, but I was helping people with my words, just with my words. They were learning from me with what the suffering I was going through. They were learning from it, people around me. So you could always have something to offer in this life. Everybody's here for a reason.
It's the truth. Do you you mentioned early when we first started this conversation that you had two near-death experiences. Can you explain what those were? How did that shift your perspective? Uh, what were they like?
Well, thank God that I was already spiritual. Because it would have been a shocker what I experienced. I experienced a very, very divine spiritual experience. It had nothing to do with religion, except that I was with divine beings that are of a religion. I had experience with Jesus and Archangel Michael. So, um, and I think I've always had a connection with Jesus even from when I was little, but it's more of a relationship versus, even though I'm a reverend with a master's in divinity, it's still, and I studied all of the religions because I wanted to help everybody, not just people of my own religion. So what happened was, it was on Easter weekend, and I had two NDEs where consecutively on 2 days in a row. And it's a long story, but long story short, I resurrected out of my body. I would say I came out of my body from here to here, and I just felt and just lifted right out of my body, and it was the easiest thing I've ever done. It was just effortless and natural. Natural. It's not natural to go back in because that was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. You don't realize how dense and heavy and toxic and limited the body is until you go back in it and see the contrast of who we are as spiritual beings, and how it gets muffled inside this body, right? So I left my body and I instantly became love. And it's not a love we have here, Pablo. It's a divine love, that what God is. And I experienced God. I don't really use the word God anymore because what I experienced was so much bigger than the word God. It's more the creator of all, source of all, knows all. God knows everything we're thinking, our purpose. And, he knew my life had been spiritual really my whole life. So he had a little talk with me, because I was disappointed that, I was helping so many people. I was on this earth, help as a helper. And then I was stricken with this illness, so they knew. So Jesus came down in front of me and said, whoa, no, it's not your time. Archangel Michael was to the left of me. The guy is huge. He's beautiful. He's huge. He's about 12 feet tall with humongous wings, bigger than the room that I was in. And they were doing healing on me at the same time together with this energy that I can't even describe, whipping it up in my core, my solar plexus. And to my surprise, me in my spirit form, believe it or not, was just as powerful as the divine beings that were with me, which really surprised me. And I, my higher self, was assisting them in my own healing of this body. And I was getting downloads after like 50 things were happening at once. I was getting downloads. I was getting messages for friends. I was being told that why I had to be in certain people's lives. I couldn't get rid of them. I could take breaks from them though if I had to, which was very helpful for me. And I was told why I was there to help them and guide them, details. And then I was also speaking another language, and I'm not sure if it was Aramaic, the heavenly language, or not, but I was speaking it fluently, and it had a theme. And the theme was, it was a prayer. I was praying for my healing, and then there was like 100 angels in tandem, not singing, but they were saying during the healing, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." That was pretty cool. And then
Interesting.
I was showing my future. I was watching myself. I saw the weight I was, I saw the clothes I was wearing. I could still see it in my mind's eye. I saw the audience, and I wasn't doing that at the time. And I could actually feel my state of health in my future, and how strong I was and how healthy I was is actually healthier than before I'd gotten sick. So that was interesting. And then there was a theme to the speaking engagements in big letters before me: hope. So my purpose was to give hope to the masses, not to be stuck in a church with 50 or 100 people. It was to give hope to the masses. So I saw my future. I saw what I was saying. I said, oh my God, I sound like Wayne Dyer. You know who
Love
Wayne Dyer
him. Oh,
is?
yeah, of course. I read many of his
Right,
books. Love
right.
him.
So I'm like, oh my God, I sound just like Wayne Dyer. And ironically, last year, I get all these synchronicities and signs coming to me. And a video popped up on my phone. It's Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer.
Hmm.
And I listened to him for about a minute, and I go, oh my God, he sounds just like me. He's saying the same words, same things that I talk about. So it's kind of strange, right? So I'm watching myself, and I notice, first of all, there was about 10 words that I didn't even recognize. I didn't understand them. So it were words that I didn't even learn yet. Maybe I'd learned them in the seminary when I was studying. Who knows? I didn't know what they meant. So, and then I noticed I used a few off colored words, which was unlike myself. So I said to Jesus, what is that all about? He said, you're too pure. Here I was, I meditated for all these years, right? To get that Christ conscious, to get that consciousness, to get that bliss consciousness that I thought was great. But I knew what he was talking about. I had that perfect health. I never drank alcohol. I didn't need to. I never maybe didn't do the things that other people were doing to make themselves feel good. I felt great every day, every day. So, so he said to me, you're too pure. You need to be able to relate to the people on earth. And I'm thinking, who the heck wants to relate to them? I want to stay in my safe little world. So he said, you need to be able to relate to the people on earth. And he said, he said something very profound to me. He said, you came here to learn compassion. So I decided that before I actually came here to learn compassion. And I understood that. So to get to the level that I'm at now, I had to go through a lot of suffering, with chronic fatigue. It was horrible. And the chronic pain with Lyme disease. I was able to see. Thank God it didn't happen to me, but I was able to see how people can get addicted to painkillers and start drinking alcohol to relieve not only physical pain, but emotional pain. This is deep, but I was able to see that from the perspective. And when I was suffering for so many years, I was able to see all those things to get me to the place I am at now, where, I can understand when I've got a lot of cancer patients. I got postpartum. I just had a young girl who lost her newborn baby, magnanimous loss. I have to be able to relate to these people to be able to help facilitate their healing and going forward. And it doesn't take long to shift their energy, and they come in, a few weeks later, they're sparkling. They're sparkling because we've tapped into their own healing abilities, but, and sometimes their parents don't understand. And I say to them, your mother is always going to be your mother. You're always going to be her child. So she's going to look out for you. You're always going to be her baby. She has to watch out for you, and she's always going to worry about you. I am coming from a different perspective. You know, I now have that emotional attachment to them. So I can help them in a different way, and they can tell me all their secrets, things that they can't tell anybody else. And it's a safe place that they can come, to talk about what they're going through so they can heal. It's all about healing.
It's your energy. It's your positive energy that
And that
yeah.
too, and understanding all types of situations, you know, all types of situations. There's everything, so many things to deal with. And some people have tougher lives than other people. A lot of people, I think probably my reason for being here is, like Jesus had said, I came here to learn compassion, and I had a lot of loss in my life. And the biggest loss was my health. I could deal with losing the people I lost, to death. I lost a few people from COVID. I could deal with that because I know where they are, because I saw the afterlife. And God said to me, I had a conversation with him. He called me Lisamarie, and he said, it's in my time, Lisamarie, not yours. Very authoritative. I heard a male's voice, authoritative but loving. God is love. It's a love that we don't have here. It's like the love you have for your children, but 50,000 times more. And like I said, there's no human words because we're limited in a human body. You're just limited. I went back into my body. It was like, I Dream of Jeannie. Do you remember that show?
I do.
And the skinny neck bottle? Well, I was
Yes.
being squeezed. I was expanded consciousness, this huge expanded consciousness, free, and everything was, I could do anything. And now I'm being squeezed into this skinny neck bottleneck. And oh my God, it was terrible. It was terrible. And now I didn't have access to my real true self, my true self. I mean, I've come back with some of that, I have this divine love, and that's why I do the things I do, because I see things, I'm able to see things in a different way to clear certain energies. You always want to, if you have a situation with somebody or a situation in life, you always can turn the energy really quick by using the most powerful tool we have is love. We are love. All of us are love. Whether you know it or not, we are love. So you can choose, instead of being mad at people, because some people are so angry that they stay mad for 2 weeks straight.
2 weeks,
And
two
that is
years, a
so,
lifetime.
yeah, like people are mad at their ex-husbands or their ex-wives. Get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that, you keep yourself from going forward and meeting somebody else that is right for you. I won't say who it is. It's somebody close to me, client, friend, whatever you want to call her. She's pining over somebody that she never even had a date with for 16 long years. This is not healthy. And I'm sure there's a
Wow.
lot of people in situations like that, or you can't go forward. They're staying in relationships too long. They're hearing the voice. They know they're not happy. They know they're stuck. They know they want more, and they don't do something about it. So you create your own state, really. A lot of people stay because of money situations. They will lose a lot if they leave their relationships or their marriages. But then again, I think about what I've been through in my life, especially the illness, and then COVID came, and then, couldn't even work when COVID came. He couldn't get, and then I went and did my hairdressing stuff. Remember when I said I was learning all these things so that I had something to fall back on, and everybody needed a hairdresser during COVID.
Yeah. My mother actually was a hairdresser her whole life, and she always said, if you're a hairdresser and you walk around with a pair of scissors and a cape, you'll never starve.
Right, 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 right. So I was just going house to house, and I loved it. I loved it, and I like change. I really like change. So it doesn't bother me if I have to change something up for a little while. I have a little secret for living this drama life on earth. I trust the divine plan that my higher self, made with God before I came here. And that is one thing that has gotten me where I am right now, by trusting the divine plan. And that's it. I sit back, especially, don't forget, I saw my future and I knew that was truth. I didn't know how I was going to get there. They showed me the big picture and one moment in time, one little moment in time. But they didn't show me that I'd be going back to school, that I'd be, doing all the little things to get up to that moment. They didn't show me that. They didn't even show me being a reverend. They didn't show me being a massage therapist. They didn't show me any of that. It just showed me the big picture, what my purpose was, and that's it. But I'm glad they showed me, because I just sit back and it just comes to me. People think, oh, yeah, I know you believe in divine intervention, as they worry about what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. But they end up finding out in the end that it does come to me at its own time. Everything has a timing. And if you trust that and trust your inner voice, everything will happen the way it's supposed to. Do you ever think, like, oh, a year later, after something major, whatever, you say to yourself, now I know why that had to happen to get
All the
to
time.
this point. Oh my God, I stressed out over that. I stressed out over the unknowns, because the unknowns are uncomfortable,
Right.
right? It's like, what's going to happen? Oh my God, I'm in this situation. And, I'm looking for a new office, and I've been looking for a while, until, I just finally decided I'm going to stop thinking about it, because I've got all these other things going on. I'm writing books, publishing books, and I got all these conferences that I'm doing left and right. And that had to be done. And I had to concentrate on that without distractions. We talked about distractions. That little quote that I sent you about
Hmm.
distractions. So I had to focus. I did what I had to do. And then the next thing will come, and it will happen at the right time.
Well, we have a few minutes left. This has been like mind blowing. I know, I, I know you, but I don't know you, right? And I know
Right.
that you're spiritual and you believe in positive energy. Many times, not lately, because I've been changing that, but many times you see me on the hallway and I hear you. You say, "Smile, Pablo, smile," and I'm just so focused and laser, and I'm just like going into the bathroom and come out. Then I slow down and I'm like, "Hi, Lisa Marie," and I try to break myself out of it. So I think you try to you help people without even wanting or knowing that you're helping them. Just with that, with a quick line like that, and everyone, even here at Rev, at the office, everybody here, everyone
Yeah.
appreciates it. So before we go, this is going to be very
And
interesting
I
and
want
fun.
to tell you,
Obviously,
I'm going to tell you one thing. I want to tell you one thing,
mhm.
because you brought that up. I'm just as driven as you, if just the same. And I
Beyond.
work 7 days a week. But what is very important, and what you will see in your life review, because we have a life review when we die, is what's more important is the love you gave out. How you affected people in your life, your children. Were you there for your children? Things like that, small thing. And you can, and how did you use your money? If somebody has a lot of money, are they helping others with that money? Am I
Right.
taking my friends that can't afford movie tickets or something or a dinner? Am I helping them that way? Little small things, acts of kindness. And the important thing is, yeah, we're driven, but we want to also enjoy life. We need a break. The break, just to go away for even half a day, um, gives us a reset. It's a reset. And that's important too.
You're absolutely correct, and we're definitely going to have want to have you back. If I mean, there's so much to talk to you about, so many different things. I mean, we can be here forever. I try to make these rev talks not so long, just because a lot of people can't absorb so much at once, right? So we create these little 30 minutes, 25-minute, bits and pieces. And, and even that sometimes because they have to commit. But let's go through the list of your titles, one by one of what your titles are and your specialties, your accreditations, if you can kind of go through them before we go.
Do you have the list? I'd have to have the list in front of me.
Well, what comes to mind? You're a massage therapist, right?
I'm a medical massage therapist.
Medical massage
Um,
therapist,
yep. And I have certain
a reverend
specialties in massage. I am an ordained minister with a master's in
minister,
divinity.
right?
I am a yoga certified yoga instructor. I am a TM, transcendental meditation teacher. Um, I am an approved provider for the NBC TMB, which is the massage world. I'm a teacher for massage therapists because we have to learn continuing education to renew your license. You need 24 credits. So I am a teacher and I have a few classes, one of them being Ayurvedic and all the Ayurvedic massages. So um, I'm also trying to think. I was an opera singer.
That's what's so interesting. Hair cutter. I mean, you had you all these things, but most importantly, they all come together in a form of helping, right? If you think about it, everything that you do revolves around helping people.
It brings people joy, everything
Yeah.
joy, calm, hope, inspiration, all of it. All of it.
Well, Lisa Marie, thank you so much. I know you kind of mentioned that you have a book published and would love to talk about that. You're definitely, hopefully, you're definitely that you do this with us. Again, even though we're in the same building, we have busy lives. So I'm very thankful that you took the time to do this.
My pleasure.
And your website is, if you want to leave us with your website,
It's
it
perfecthealthandbalance.com.
there you go. That's perfecthealthandbalance.com. And for everyone else, we're Rev Mode. That's Revved Mode with two V's, revmode.com. And thank you for listening. Bye, Lisa.